Props and Locks on Fox 10 is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more.
Welcome into Props and Locks, presented by FanDuel. I'm Sierra Santos. March Madness is upon us, and as the conference tournaments wrap up, we're previewing what's to come in the NCAA tournament. Let's welcome in our betting bestie, Ben Stevens, host of the Morning After on Sports Grid. And Ben, the odds of filling out a perfect bracket, if you know a little something about college hoops, is, I read, 1 in 128 billion, which means you have a better chance of getting struck by lightning. So that's why we're not here for the bracketology, right, Ben?
That's exactly the case, Sierra, because oftentimes, whether it be a conference tournament or picking the eventual national champion, people think about the perfect bracket. Who is going to make that Cinderella run? Who is going to go to the Sweet 16? We're here to make sure you know the trends for single game profitability in March Madness, Sierra. That is the term that I am trying to coin and maybe get copyrighted. Single game profitability, that even if the team doesn't move on to the next round, you can still profit in that individual outcome.
I want that on a coffee mug. All right, we're essentially a day out from Selection Sunday. Let's look at the odds to be the #1 seed. No surprise, Arizona is at minus 1450. Kansas sits at plus 135. Auburn at plus 135. Duke at plus 370. Obviously, the Wildcats are not the team to put your money on in this circumstance. So, who is?
Well, it's very interesting, Sierra, because both Kansas and Auburn are listed right there. And if either of those two teams end up winning their conference tournament, I think especially Auburn out of the SEC will have a stake to claim for a #1 seed on that one line for the NCAA tournament. Because if Kentucky wins the SEC tournament, which they were favored to do, I think it's those Wildcats. But if Auburn wins the SEC tournament, having already beaten Kentucky in the regular season, I think the Auburn Tigers could cash that plus money ticket and find their way on the one line.
All right, the Final Four is going down in the Big Easy on April 2nd and 4th. The lines have already shortened slightly for some programs, including Gonzaga, Kentucky, Arizona. So looking at some other teams, UCLA is at plus 650 and Providence plus 2,000. By the way, Gonzaga, how do you say it?
Gonzaga is how I would say it, or very easily just call them the Zags, because that's the easiest thing to call Gonzaga, having won the WCC tournament title for the 17th time under Mark Few. I think Gonzaga will be the #1 overall seed of all the 1 seeds when we get to Selection Sunday in just a few hours. Thank you for including Providence, Robbie Baker, your wonderful producer there, because at 20-1, we remain fired up. Can Providence get it to the Final Four? I'm not entirely sure, but Sierra, if you have a 20-1 ticket on Providence to reach the Final Four and they get to the Sweet 16, maybe Elite 8, you have money line hedging out profitability scenarios, and that's always the key in March.
All right, the Zags are still favored to cut down the nets. At the end of it all, they had just 3 losses in the regular season. Still, it's not easy for any team to rattle off 6 wins in a row. Duke, by the way, plus 1,200. Kansas plus 1,600. I'm feeling U of A this year, though.
Ooh, Arizona has a wonderful roster construction in terms of being a national championship contender. Everything you look for success in the month of March. A great head coach in Tommy Lloyd, the Pac-12 Player of the Year in Benedict Mathurin, a big man down low in Christian Koloko that makes anybody tremble in fear, and a point guard in Kirk Kriisa that can certainly be a floor general. I like Arizona as well, and there's better value on the Cats at 6-1 than the Zags at that very short price of plus 380.
All right, so we've delved into college hoops. Coming up, we are going to the pros. Stick with us as we break down the NBA title odds. We're back in just a few.
Welcome back to Props and Locks, brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook.
We're back on Props and Locks, and we're staying on the hardwood. The NBA playoffs are a month out, getting underway on April 12th. So let's talk futures with Ben. Who will come out of the East? My intuition says the Bucks, but odds makers are loving the Nets with slightly better odds at plus 290. The Sixers are at plus 320, and the Bulls plus 1,600. But should Brooklyn be favored over Milwaukee, Ben?
The answer is very simple, Sierra Santos, and the answer is absolutely freaking not. I don't have any idea how the Brooklyn Nets are still the shortest price to win the Eastern Conference crown. All of the ground they will have to make up when they get to the postseason, firmly in the play-in spot in the East right now, makes no sense to me. Kyrie Irving could play in all of the games. Kevin Durant could be fully healthy, and Ben Simmons might actually show up in a Nets uniform and still the path to an Eastern Conference Finals and then an NBA title on top of that makes no sense to me. A team not included there, the Miami Heat, a 3-game lead in the Eastern Conference earlier this week at plus 500. There's value on Miami.
So you're saying take the Bucks at plus 90?
I would take the Bucks versus the Nets if you really want to go with Giannis, but I still like the Heat, or maybe we're seeing red with the Chicago Bulls.
Okay. All right. The Suns, they're finally getting their flowers in the Western Conference. They've been finding ways to win without their all-star backcourt. They finally have a slight edge over Golden State in the West. The Jazz are plus 700, the Grizz plus 1,300. Chris Paul is expected to return from his thumb fracture around the time that the playoffs start. So, Ben, why would you put your money on any other team but Phoenix?
Maybe value, because I believe that Phoenix will be in the Western Conference Championship Series. So you're looking for the other side that might match up against the Suns. I think it might be the Grizzlies at 13-1. I could see the Nuggets at 12-1. Here's the value, though, Sierra, in my opinion. The Dallas Mavericks, 18-1 right now, the 6th best price to win the Western Conference. Again, you're not looking for them to knock off the Suns in the Western Conference Finals. Just get there, and then you guarantee profits.
All right, so the Suns are also favored to go the distance, making back-to-back appearances in the NBA Finals. But this time, they're the favorite to win it all. Warriors are plus 460, the Nets plus 550, and Philly plus 700. If you were putting your money on any team not named the Suns, who would it be?
I would put it on Philadelphia. We didn't mention Philly in the Eastern Conference race, but since the blockbuster trade at the NBA trade deadline to get James Harden in a Sixers uniform, it has almost looked picture perfect for Philadelphia and what James Harden can do alongside Joel Embiid, a team that is winning basketball games, covering basketball games, and showing offensive metrics we have not seen in quite some time in Philadelphia. So I think Philly can be a true contender in the East. If it's not the Heat, it's Philly, and then you get to the NBA championship and have a shot maybe to knock off the Suns, who I do think come out of the West, by the way, all of our good fans in Phoenix there.
Okay, so who will win MVP? Well, looking at this, it appears Joel Embiid. But when you see this minus money, how much do you just steer clear?
You have to steer clear, but the minus money in any individual award prop board or board on the FanDuel Sportsbook is generally an indication, especially where we are now in the home stretch of this NBA season, that it is Joel Embiid's award to wrap up. And as we mentioned, with Philly being plus 320 in the East and 7-1 to win the NBA title, they are going to be a factor in the postseason, which means that if Joel Embiid can bring them to the promised land, that is only going to reflect well on those MVP odds. Don't bet minus 145, but there's a reason for that price.
Exactly. All right, coming up, we are switching gears as Russell Wilson is out of the NFC West. So how much did that affect the Cardinals' chances of capturing the division next season? We're going to show you more props and locks after the break. Thanks for staying up late with us on Props and Locks. And huge quarterback news out of the NFL this week is Aaron Rodgers is staying put in Green Bay while Russell Wilson is shipping out to the Mile High City. And Ben isn't a fortune teller, but he did find a crystal ball in a back alley dumpster. So we're going to finally put it to use in our final segment. And with that movement, that means Super Bowl futures have also gotten the shakeup. The Bills are plus 700, the Packers plus 750, the Broncos now favored over the Cardinals at plus 1,200. Are you surprised Green Bay is not the favorite given the Rodgers news, Ben?
No, I'm surprised Green Bay moved up the board as much as they did. Now, the second best odds leapfrogging the Kansas City Chiefs. And look at the number on Denver, Sierra. $10 of movement off of their price from 22-1 to 12-1 after the Russell Wilson news. That's what quarterbacks mean in the future marketplace. And that's why we saw a seismic shift in the NFL landscape.
In the conference odds, the Chiefs are favored to win the AFC, followed by the Broncos with the addition of an elite quarterback, and then the Chargers. So I'll ask you this. How much did Russell Wilson boost those Broncos odds?
It moved past the Los Angeles Chargers and made already a very difficult division even that much more difficult. The AFC West is going to be a gauntlet, but the Chiefs now are in plus money, just something to keep an eye on.
In the NFC West, the reigning Super Bowl champs are plus 155. The Niners are plus 175. The Cardinals plus 300, and very little hope for the Seahawks at plus 1,100. So, Ben, how does all the drama surrounding Kyler Murray's contract extension, how much do you think it's affecting these odds?
I mean, I would pour some out, Sierra, for your Seahawks friends. 11-1 now, some of the longest odds in any division in the entire NFL. That's my focus in the NFC West. I'm sorry to everybody else.
As always, check the FanDuel app for the latest lines. We are back next Friday night at 10:45 p.m. Until next week, take it easy.